Welcome back to my hometown. Thanks for taking a little time to join us today. Thank you to Brad and Deanne Sherman for allowing us to bring this week's episode of My Hometown from the Chapman Building located in downtown Bowie. The Chapman Building, Brad and Deanne have done a wonderful job of bringing this old historic building up to date, but yet keeping that historic and rich feeling that belongs in downtown Bowie. So thank you to Brad and Deanne for allowing us to bring this week's episode from the Chapman Building. The Chapman Building, you can find them on Facebook. We're going to drop that link in the show notes, that way you can easily find it. So thank you again to them for allowing us to be here in the Chapman Building. So please welcome my guest today. She has been a resident of Bowie for the last 22 years. She has started her family, her business in our small community, getting involved in church and in the community has helped her get more involved and connected over the years. So please welcome my guest today. She is the owner of the Element Salon and Spa, Miss Jennifer Harris.
Hello.
So thank you, Jennifer, for joining me today.
For having me.
Welcome. So you've had the Element for quite a while.
Yes. Opened in 2010.
2010.
Yes.
So we're going to kind of go back. We're going to come back to 2010,
Yes.
but we're going to go way back to you're married, have 2 kiddos.
Yes.
Married to Trevor.
Yes.
So how long have you and Trevor been married?
It will be 22 years in December.
So you've been in Bowie for 22 years.
Yes.
So did
Yeah.
he bring you to Bowie?
Sort of.
Where were you from?
I grew up in, first I grew up in Irving till 5th grade. Then my parents wanted more land, so we moved to Midlothian. And that's where I lived all the way through junior high school, and then the funny thing is we always would come to Bowie growing up because we had horses and we'd play day, and we actually would play day right behind your house.
Yeah. It's always a busy time when play days, yes.
Exactly. So I knew about Bowie, growing up, but I always thought, oh my gosh, it's so far, it's so little. I'd never lived there, and then here I am, so it's funny. But after me and my sister graduated from high school, my dad foresaw that Midlothian was going to become kind of like the city, bigger and bigger. So he wanted more land.
Then it was just
it was kind of like Bowie. I remember when Sonic came in, and it was such a big deal.
And that's probably hard for people to believe now.
It is.
That the Sonic was a big deal.
It is, but it was a huge deal. So Midlothian was a lot like Bowie, growing up. And so once we graduated, my parents moved this way, moved their business this way, and then through the church that they were going to, I met Trevor. That's how it all.
So were they going to church here?
They were. It was called River of Life. It's where Central Baptist was.
The old Gibson's building.
Yes, and we went there for like 10 years and, started our family there. And, so.
So did they introduce you to Trevor?
Yes. So it was funny because Trevor and my brother became good friends. And my dad owned a flooring business. And Trevor started working for my dad. And my dad was like, you need to meet Trevor. We got to, meet Trevor. And I'm like, no, I've got a boyfriend, Dad,
So did you have a boyfriend?
I actually did. No, he wasn't in Bowie.
Oh.
No, because I lived in Dallas at the time.
Okay.
So I had a boyfriend. And, he just kept saying that. And
So you're living in Dallas at the time. Your mom and dad are going to church at
yes,
River Life.
Yes.
And they're trying to talk to you about
yes, yeah. And so I came to visit and at the church, and I saw Trevor across the sanctuary, and he was like dressed all cowboy, and I wasn't into cowboys anymore, but he was really cute, and he loved Jesus. And I was like, wow, he's pretty cool, So we met then, and that was that. Well, then later, my dad had racehorses, and so he set this thing up where we all went to the racetrack together to watch his horse, and Trevor was there. And that was
by accident or?
No, not by accident. So my dad always takes credit for us, and I did break up with my boyfriend, so it's not. I wasn't.
Before you
exactly.
went to the races.
Yes. So that's how we started hanging out, and we went to Jim Bowie Days rodeo, and he was there, and then we ended up going to see a concert in Dallas that night, and we've been together ever since.
Ever since.
Yeah.
And then, so then when did you move to Bowie? So, so how long was it that you and Trevor dated while you're still living in the house?
I mean, maybe a year. Yeah. And so once we got married, we actually got a duplex in Bridgeport, and then my dad saw this house in Lake Nakoma Hills, and it was a really good deal, and we ended up buying a house out there. We lived there for a little while in Nakoma, but Bowie was everything. We did everything in Bowie. My parents lived in Bowie, so we just always were in Bowie. And I really wanted to be in Bowie after being in Nakoma Hills because it was just so remote. I didn't know anybody, and didn't have kids yet. So,
so after high school, did you go to college, or were you just?
Okay, I went to college. I went to Southwestern Assemblies of God, which was only like 20 minutes from my house. So I didn't live on campus, but I felt called to ministry and went there for a year, and then I went to another university in Missouri. The next year, me and my sister went. It was a Assemblies of God college there, and then came back to the Waxahachie School the third year. Well, honestly, I always wanted to do hair, and I felt like I had to go to college because that's what was pushed on you. Like, you have to have a college degree or you're not anything,
Yeah.
And so after 3 years of doing that, I just was like, I'm taking a break because I don't really know what degree I want to get. And so within that time is when I met Trevor. And after we got married, I said, I want to go to hair school. So probably that next January, because we got married in December. And I think I might have started in the summer of that next year, hair school.
So so you're going to Assembly of God College. How do you transition into cosmetology when you feel you've been called into the ministry?
Right.
How do you, what's the thought process of when you think, hey God, I don't think that's really what I'm called to do? Because that's got to be tough when like, I don't know what I want to do, but I think I want to do this, but.
Right. I've realized that ministry is not just pastoral, like being on church staff or anything. Ministry is your life. And I'm very involved in ministry now. I'm worship leader, written songs and things like that. So ministry has always been a part of my life. It just might not have been my career, And honestly, I feel like doing hair is a ministry. The relationships you build and things like that. So it's kind of evolved into that.
I agree. And so you go to cosmetology school, and so when you get out, where'd you go to?
To NCTC in Gainesville. Yeah, so I drove there for a year. It was like almost like you had a job every day. Didn't get paid, but it's okay. It was good.
So you get out, and then where did you work when?
Well, as soon as towards the end of school is when I got pregnant with Caleb. That's my firstborn, and so I was blessed enough to be able to stay home. I kept doing stuff on the side just for friends and family. And then my daughter Lizzie was born 2.5 years later, and Trevor got me a spa package at Nostalgia Day Spa. Okay, so Nostalgia, the antique food place. Well, the mother and daughter started a day spa. So he got me this package, and I was so excited. And went in there and just started talking to them and telling them I had my license. And that's kind of how it evolved. Like, they were like, well, we need a stylist. And so I started part-time there, built up my clientele. Worked there for like 3.5 years, and then they decided to close. And, I always wanted to own my own salon. And I think it's because just that entrepreneurial spirit that my dad had,
How long did your dad had?
Oh, like 30 years, yeah. So, I'd always seen that growing up. He had his own business, and, and so I think that was just planted inside of me. And I always knew when I went to hair school that I wanted to own my own place one day. And so when they decided to close, I had to make a choice. Okay, do I go to another salon and, just take my clients there, but knowing one day I might want to leave in a small town, I just felt like I don't want there to ever be any bad, blood or whatever. So I just was like, I think I can do this. I think it's a good time because I'm not, starting something, leaving someone and starting something,
So they were closing down.
They were closing, yeah, because Cherie and Jackie, they were so wonderful to me, and I loved them so much, and they didn't do anything in the cosmetology world, so it's like they really just had a dream of owning a spa, and they did it, and then they felt like they needed to move on, and so that's kind of how.
Which really worked for both of them.
Right, yeah. It got me my start, and it kind of showed me what kind of atmosphere I wanted for my own place. I wanted something where when you walk in, there's peace, and you feel at home and welcome, and, I don't know, I know that a lot of salons get, like, bad rap for, gossip, this and that, and I don't know, I just wanted it to be a place of refuge for people, and that they just feel better about themselves, and while they're there, they have, they enjoy themselves, and they're not stressed out,
So from a business standpoint, it sounds really good, and that's really easy when it's just you.
Right.
So how do you manage that culture when you, because I think this is important to other business owners, how do you manage that culture and keep that as you get diverse personalities and diverse clients in the same space? How do you maintain that culture of what you want?
Honestly, sometimes I tell the girls that work with me, y'all, I have no idea what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I really don't. I just kind of go. I don't know. I feel like you attract what you are. And I'm not going to say I didn't ever have any issues starting this. I feel like I've worked my way through it, and I'm not a confrontational person, and sometimes that can be a detriment when you own a business because you want to be nice and and you're trusting, because I
think you're a pushover.
Yes, and I've always felt I should be people the way that I would do things. Like, I would be honest, and I would, So, there's been some times where it's bit me, but I am so thankful for where I'm at right now and the people that are surrounding me. I just feel like it's the right, and it's just been a process to work through it, But I do think lead by example.
And do you feel that culture has been, as you get more people in the shop, do you feel like that culture is just felt when you come in? So with somebody that comes in that doesn't fit necessarily in that culture, they realize, I don't fit in here.
Right.
And it kind of takes care of itself. Like, this is not the place for me.
That's kind of how it has played out. Yes, absolutely.
So watching your dad and your parents all those years owning a business, what is it that attracted, because, and be honest, did you open a salon and want to do it because you think I'm going to make lots of money?
Not really.
So what is it that attracted as watching your parents own their own business, what is it that attracted you to own your own business and be an entrepreneur?
Probably calling my own shots, and being able to do what I wanted to do. That's probably the most thing, but I've never been one that's just did things just for money. I do hair because I love it, and I love people. And me and Trevor were talking about the lottery. It's like some big, huge number. He's like, people shouldn't win that much money. I'm like, I would be okay with winning that much. He was like, well, would you quit working? And I was like, I wouldn't. I would not quit working because I really do love what I do. And I love to invest in other people too. So it's like, in the Bible it talks about like making disciples of people. It's like you want to reproduce yourself and help people shortcut some of the mistakes that I made.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be that for people, the girls that come into my salon,
And not in the hair business, but in the life business.
Yes, in every aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shortcut those things that
Yeah,
maybe did wrong, and they can say,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
And so you started. So after you left Nostalgia Day Spa, is that when you opened the Element?
Yes, and I opened on Y Street. It was like a little rock house, and it had like a little ramp. It's a little before Sonic, and it was like this cute little house with hardwood floors, and I had 3 stations, and I had rooms that, massage, pedicures, facials. Yeah, so I started with just 3 stations,
Mm-hmm.
and when I started, there was just me, and so
you started, but nobody was.
I really did. I just started with just me, and I just had to trust that I could do it on my own, and then just that God would bring people, and
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out that way. I had Brandy McCuller. She was one of my girls for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
She's an amazing stylist, and I was very thankful to have her. She was just steady,
Mm-hmm.
and so then about 3.5 years, I kind of felt like that space might be a little too big because it was this upstairs and the electricity was high. So then I moved to where the old movie theater was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were back in the back.
Yes.
Yeah, with your synergy. So I moved there and still had 3 stations, And then after about 3 years, I just was like, if I'm going to do this, I would really like to own my own building because, that's scary to start out doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You need to see if it works.
Yes.
So after about 6.5 years, I thought, I think I can do this, and I do want to expand. And so it just worked out. There was an empty lot right by the post office. I guess it was a building that there was one building, and then the next, it was kind of an open lot.
Mm-hmm.
There had been a condemned
Yes,
building.
they got.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we ended up, Wendell Robbins, was good friends with us, and he helped me tremendously,
Mm-hmm.
and me and Trevor drew up the plans for the salon, and he just facilitated it, and thank God we were able to get a loan and all that stuff.
So that's one big building. Was it separated in 2 different spaces?
Yes, there's 2 different spaces. Wendell really wanted me to buy the whole thing, but I was like, I don't know.
So you have your space.
I own that side. Yeah,
that side.
Yeah, I own that side. And we moved in 2016. So.
And so you went from, you have 3 stylists when you were at the old movie theater.
Yes.
And then how many do you have?
There's 6. Well, there's 6 stations. There's 5 stylists right now, and then I have a nail tech and I have a massage therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so how is it when you made that move and you grew, did it take a little while to grow to that?
At first, yes. And then it was like I was full, and then a few things happened, and people move on, and it's just like things aren't always forever.
Mm-hmm.
People have to make their choices and move on. So it's just been kind of like working through and finding the right people, and but it's been good.
And during all this time, you're growing a family,
Right.
having a family. So is that challenging to try to run your business, work,
Mm-hmm.
run a family?
It is, especially like cooking. Trevor's really stepped up and started helping, with that kind of stuff. And it's been good because my parents were always here.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when my kids were little, they never really had to have a babysitter or go to
Mm-hmm.
daycare. They
Mm-hmm.
could stay with my mom. And, so it's been great to have family help,
Mm-hmm.
And then with Trevor, he was in the oil field, and then he decided to pursue his dream of leather work, and went to boot school, so he makes custom boots and custom leather work. And so just with him starting his own thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we're able to like support each other,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So how long ago did he leave the oil field? And
I think it's been like 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
so is that a scary transition?
Yes, but
So, and so 4 or 5 years. So you had only had your building just a couple of years
right,
when he
right,
decides to make a career change.
exactly. And you know the way I looked at it was, I wanted him to love what he does too,
Mm-hmm.
and he supported me all those years while I was building my business,
Mm-hmm.
and then I felt like it's my turn. You know, that we were in a place where we could do that, and
Mm-hmm.
and it was amazing. You know, it's like we don't know how, but God always provided, and almost in excess with just one income.
Mm-hmm.
You know, more than before.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And sometimes you don't want to question it because it's just happening.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Just stepping out in faith, believing in what God has called you to do. He's going to make a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And going back to ministry, you were at River of Life Church for
Mhm.
10 years.
Yeah.
Now you go to Lighthouse.
Yes.
You're involved in
Worship.
worship.
Mhm.
As you mentioned, you write songs, you
Yeah.
sing. Have you always wrote songs? And
I've always sang, and probably when I was like 16, you know, my dad would always pray and listen and write down what he felt like God was saying to him.
Mhm.
And he gave me this piece of paper, and it was talking about how I would be like David,
Mhm.
the psalmist, and write songs. And like, I was like, whatever, I can't even play an instrument, you know, and I just didn't think
So does he write things down that he felt
that.
called from his prayers?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And so I just kind of pushed it aside. And probably about 19, so I went to that college, Southwestern, and I was wanting to do, I did minor in music, like I decided that. So I took a group piano class, and they taught like all the chords and keys and everything. And so that's kind of how I started being able to write songs, is because so I'm thankful that I went to college, because it really did start me on this path of music.
Did I learn how to play the piano because you didn't know before?
And it wasn't great or anything. It just was, you know, basics. But that's kind of what started me writing. And, you know, one day I was praying, and I'm like, God, you said you'd give me songs. I don't have a song. And I seriously heard God say, you have not because you ask not.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked God, I said, God, well, give me a song.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote my first song that day. And it just started.
It just came to you.
Yeah, it really did. And, you know, I've written a lot of songs. Not all of them are great. But a lot of times I just feel like an urgency, and I'll sit down and it comes. But
out of the urgency. It's not something you sit down and think, I'm going to write today.
Yeah.
Just,
And when I do that, what you just said, it's like very hard. And so, and I don't write as much as I used to, because I'm just like, well, if it's something that God wants to say, or I feel like saying, I'll sit down and do it. And I do it every now and then, but I really am more involved in like worship and leading worship and stuff.
So do you still play the piano? And
I do. Since I started leading worship at Lighthouse, I've stepped away from the piano. My son plays.
Oh.
And he is amazing. Yeah. So Caleb, my son, plays, and I just am on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
But I still play. Sometimes I leave behind the piano, like if he's out, or
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So going back to kind of where I started, it was doing hair, clients sitting in a chair, whether it's you're coloring their hair, you're cutting their hair. I think it's something strange that happens how people will share. And it's different than if you're out having dinner with them or something like that. I don't know if it's because they're looking in the mirror, they're not looking at you.
Yeah.
But they do share all sorts of things.
Right.
Very personal things, things that they probably wouldn't share normally.
Yeah.
You find that gives you an opportunity to then, they open the door and you can share.
Yeah.
And going back to ministry not being necessarily in front of a congregation.
Right.
Or
Absolutely.
on a mission field.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've had a lot of encounters with people that way, you know, and prayed with people just right there in the salon, you know, because I felt like that's what God wanted me to do. And sometimes I've missed it. I'm like, oh, are you sure you want me, you know, want me
So
to do
sometimes
that?
you
Sometimes,
not, just because, I mean, we're humans, it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how they're going to respond to that.
Right, yeah, but sometimes I've done it right. You know.
And it's a good feeling. And I think it's just a different way, and anybody that hasn't ever experienced that has connected with somebody, it's just a different connection. I don't know what it is. I experience the same thing in training clients. There's just something there that's a connection. And, you know, just recently my dad shared with me about how, because sometimes I get worked up about the business and all that. And he shared with me that sometimes where you are, that is your mission field. And he explained to me that the gym is your mission field. And so when we have that different perspective,
Right.
it changes everything.
It really does.
How we talk to people, how we interact with them, we get to know them, get to know their lives, how we can make an impact. Because you're not only making an impact with their outer appearance, you're making an impact with their inner appearance, which is not something that that a lot of people get to experience.
Yeah.
And it is a blessing to be able to experience that.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like I said, I love what I do. I love hair. I love all that stuff. But I just love the relationships that I build with people. And you know, I've had a lot of people have become my really good friends. You know, I mean, so
they become their clients and then become friends.
Right. Yeah.
What kind of, over the years, what struggles have you found in business? That you really just kind of, it's just been a challenge, especially in a small community. Because, you know, when it comes to hair salons and cosmetologists, we have a plethora.
That's one of the things I was going to say. There's just so many salons in Bowie, and it wasn't as many when I started, but it seems like everybody wants to own their own salon. But it's capitalism, I don't know.
Yes.
That is a challenge, you know. Maybe not necessarily for me where I'm at, because I've been doing it for 16 years, so I have a big clientele, but for the people that are just starting out, you know, I'm always like, oh Lord, let the phone ring for my girls, you know.
So what kind of advice would you give to somebody coming out of school that, you know, gets comes to one of the salons, comes to your salon? What advice would you give that person? When I say there's so many in town competing, and what would you say to that person?
You know, one good thing is if you're young and you still maybe live at home, that is a great time to build your business because you don't have the responsibilities. I feel like a lot of people quit hair because they need to make money right away, you know, and I always say, if you can just stick it out, you know. That's how I was able to do it, is because I wasn't the breadwinner, you know. I mean, and I hate to say that and not discourage people from hair business, but it takes time, you know, and you just have to stick with it.
Have you had any that have come to work for you that also maybe have work at night or work a second job?
Yeah, I've got a girl right now that's doing that, you know, and I'm okay with that, you know, because she has to do what she has to do. And I'm going to try to support my girls however I can. So.
Has there been a time those years of owning your business that you think, I think I'm kind of done. I think I want to.
There's been a few times. More like, maybe I just want to be by myself.
Have my own business, but be by myself.
Right, yeah. There's been moments like that. But, some stressful situations happen. But I always work through it and look at the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Know that I do feel called to do this, and help support other stylists build their business and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I always want the salon that I'm at to feel like a team,
Mm-hmm.
and we all help support each other.
Mm-hmm.
If we ever have any questions or like somebody's running behind, help them wash somebody's hair. Just a servanthood.
It's not, well, how much am I going to get paid for that?
Right.
It's because
Right.
of helping somebody
Exactly.
else.
And if we do that for each other, it's awesome. So that's the type of attitude that I always want for the people that work in my salon.
I think that's a good lesson for business owners, but also for people in life, is to be a servant. How can I look to be a servant? Because when we're a servant, we will never say, that's not my job.
Right.
That's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
A servant attitude is that helping somebody? Then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I think it changes who we are when we go into any environment, whether it's business, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's our community. When we go in with a servant attitude,
Right.
it just changes.
Well, because you're not thinking just about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about other people. And, that's what I want my life to be, is a servant heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that I can cultivate that in other people
And
anywhere.
having a servant heart and trying to live that life, can that be difficult?
Yes.
When you do have a servant heart and then it doesn't go the way
Yes,
you thought.
it can. And, you have to forgive people.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be hard because you feel like you've done everything to help support somebody and you don't receive that
Mm-hmm.
back. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's people, that's life. And if you hold on to that and just are bitter,
Mm-hmm.
there's no peace in that. So the key is forgiveness and moving on.
Yeah, I think those are two things that go hand in hand. If you have a servant heart, you also have to be a very good forgiver.
Yes.
And a forgiver doesn't go, I forgive them, and then down the road in the Rolodex, I remember that one time.
Yeah.
It has to be, I forgive them and we move on.
Yeah.
I always like to call it taking the high road.
Right.
It can be lonely, and sometimes the air can be really thin on the high road. But it's always the best place to be.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if we can't forgive whatever situation it is, that prevents us from going into the next encounter, and then we don't have a certain attitude. We go, well, I remember what happened last time. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah. And my dad always said, forgiveness is a choice, it's not a feeling. So even if you still have these feelings, you choose to forgive. I mean, sometimes something might come up again, a feeling, but you choose to forgive, and you walk in that, and don't let bitterness overtake you.
So it might just have to be a constant choice.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad that my dad taught me that, because sometimes those feelings don't come till later,
Mm-hmm.
And
they catch you in inopportune times. Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
And you go, okay, I need to.
Yeah.
I'm choosing now to forgive that.
Yeah.
And that can be, especially being in business with so many opportunities for cosmetologists in our community, they can go from place to place to place. So, when you're given a servant heart, servant attitude, it can be challenging as a business owner because, money-wise, business-wise, man, I lost that person. Now I have to find somebody else. I spent 3 or 4 years getting that person they took.
And honestly, sometimes it's more about your ego.
Mm.
It hurts your ego.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to really walk through that because, it's made me a better stylist. to go through things like that, where somebody leaves you and goes somewhere else. I mean, it happens to every one of us. There's not one hairstylist that hasn't had that happen. You know, it's just the way it is. And I do want to say for like clients, hairstylists want you to be honest. They want you to be honest because that will help correct a situation maybe. And we want to be the best that we can be. We don't want you to just not say anything because you think you're going to hurt our feelings. You know what I mean? It's doing a disservice to yourself and to your stylist.
By not sharing what it is you...
I mean, I'm not saying be rude. I mean, I have had a couple of rude people. But, but you know, you can be honest with your stylist. And, I mean, for me, it's like I'm going to do everything I can. If you tell me something, I'm going to do everything I can to make it right. You know, because I'm not perfect. None of us are. And I want to work towards what makes them happy, you know.
So, yeah, it's open communication.
Yes.
Tell me what you want, what you don't like. Because we can't fix. It's just
you can't fix what you don't know.
It's
you know
like any
I mean?
relationship.
Yeah.
Whether friend, spouse.
Right.
If you don't tell me, I can't fix it. I always like to say in training, when I train clients, if they stop coming to me, I always say I've never been fired in 16 years. They just quit. It's all about perspective. How do you look at it? They just quit. So what successes have you had over the years with your business? Being in a small community.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Project Beautiful, the event Project Beautiful was one of the successes.
So kind of explain what, and is Project Beautiful still?
You know, since COVID, I have not done it. We were going to do it in 2020. I think the last one we did was 2019. But basically, you know, I had someone in my chair many years ago, and a young girl, and she just like wouldn't even look at herself in the mirror, you know? And I just started thinking, man, if she just knew how to do this to her eyebrows or do this, or, you know what I mean? Just if she has the knowledge to make what she has the best possible, but not just that, like knowing her self-worth. You know, it all goes together. Like, I never think, oh, just fix your hair and you'll be happier. You know, you know what I mean?
It's going to radiate from the inside.
It really is. It's from within out. That's true beauty. And so I just got this idea and started talking to people. What if we did like an event where we brought young girls in and we had workshops, and then we had an evening meeting where we talked about, you know, Jesus. I mean, you know, it was kind of like, it was that. And so I just started talking to people I knew, and we got together, and I mean, we had like 200 and 250 girls the first event.
And it was high school? What
junior
ages?
high through high school. We thought about breaking it up, and we did, like when we broke up workshops and stuff. But it was really cool. All the schools in the area let us come in and tell the girls about the event, and they registered. And, you know, we raised money in the community. People just gave, and we were able to, like, print T-shirts for them and
it was an event that the girls didn't have to pay for.
They did not pay for it. They only signed up. So, I mean, I think the first year was at the community center. And, you know, Project Beautiful paid for the event center and all that. But people gave, you know, and that's how it started, people giving. And honestly, I never thought it was going to be a continual thing when I first started.
You know, it's like,
I thought it was going to be a one-time thing. And then people were like, what are we going to do again?
And so what year what was your first year?
It was probably 2012. Yeah, and we did one a year for at least till 2019. It was a lot of planning and things. And, you know, I'm always like, should I start again? It's just a different time in my life, and I don't know. But that is one thing that, as a business owner, being able to kind of spark that
Mm-hmm.
and let it spread through the community with women who wanted to be on board, because we know what it's like
Mm-hmm.
to be a woman or a young girl and not feel worthy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I was one of those girls.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of times your ministry is the things that you've gone through,
Mm-hmm.
and God uses those things as your ministry. He
Mhm.
heals you, and then you get to speak into other people's lives. So,
Because you're able to speak to that girl
right,
that was you,
right.
and you know exactly what she's feeling and thinking. And so in 2019 was your last year. Is that when you had?
We did the overnight slumber party.
And where was that at?
It was at the community center.
So
it was an all-nighter.
So was that the first time you'd done?
Yes, because I always was like, we've got to do something different. You know, we can't do the same thing every
Mhm.
year. And so we did an all-nighter. It was fun, but it's funny because I thought the girls would be able to hang,
Uh-huh.
but they were tired. A lot of them were sleeping, and but it was fun. It was really fun.
And so
But I probably
how
won't do
many
an overnighter again.
did you have?
Probably close to 200.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and then since, like I said, COVID, it shut everything down, and I just haven't started it back up.
I'm so glad you said that.
I know. Maybe.
So I would highly, highly encourage you to pray about it, think about it, because in those 3 years since you stopped, so much has changed with social media, and I think women and young women and girls are so much more troubled because of what they see on social media.
Right.
We know as adults that isn't accurate, that we always put the best face forward. And I don't think girls, kiddos in general know that.
Yeah.
And I think that even now is something that would even be more something of what they need in their lives, and have examples. And how great for women in our community to be able to give to that.
Yeah.
Because it was girls from all around, not just our community.
Right.
But
It was all of Montague County. So we would go to Nakona schools, Forestburg. I think St. Joe is Montague. So we went to St. Joe. And we even went to Bellevue. Bellevue's not Montague, but still. So it's not just Bowie kids. It's the whole Montague County.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes something starts just as simple as somebody sitting in your chair, not looking in the mirror, and it sparks an idea.
Yeah.
And I think God uses those people that you didn't know when you made that appointment.
Yeah.
What was going to come out of it? That
Right.
for 8 years, 8 years, you're going to impact thousands of lives over those years. It's a lot of women that help girls that come and attend that are now probably now in their 20s.
Yeah.
And that's hard to think that, and probably a lot of them had experiences that they still remember from those days,
Right.
the impact and the change
Right.
that it made. So that's the types of connections that we have the opportunity, if we're looking for it. If you weren't looking for it.
Right. And that's the thing. I always say, all God wants you to be is available.
Mm-hmm.
Say yes. You know, we can just get so wrapped up, and I'm guilty of it, wrapped up in my own stuff, and, but He's looking for people who are available.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Ready to just say yes.
Yeah. Yep. Say yes.
What other successes? That's a huge one. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah.
And, I'd highly encourage you to really think and pray about.
I am going to.
Because when you said that, it just gave me chills when I first started talking about it, and I don't do it very often. So I think maybe that's God speaking to me for you. So, but I'm sorry. I love ideas. So what are other successes?
Well, I mean, just the fact of building my own building and it's still going.
Mm-hmm.
6 or 7 years later. I mean, just things like that. I'm proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
And is it really a team effort with you and Trevor, and really a team as a family too, because as the kids get older, you are fortunate that you do have some flexibility.
Right.
Some, but not as much as everybody thinks we do as business owners. You still have clients that you have scheduled and things like that. So is it really a team effort of everybody? Of course, Trevor's being helped, but with the
Trevor
kiddos
is the handyman. So I mean, anything I need, he fixes. And everybody at the salon's like, oh, you know, can you do this? Can you do this? So it is such a blessing to have him, because he literally knows probably how to do everything. And if he doesn't, he's going to research it and he's going to figure it out. So I'm so thankful. He always tells me when he fixes things, he's like, I just made this much money, because I would have had to spend, I would have spent that if I didn't have him. So he's definitely a huge support in my business.
Yeah, because that does save a lot of money in small business, especially when you own your business, own your building. There's a lot of expenses that come up.
Right. I mean, he's done things with the AC, the water heater. He just replaced the pedicure chair for me, and all kinds of stuff. So. And
see, and like for me, like I'm the total opposite. Like I had a chance to sell my building. I sold it. Say I just want to be a tenant. I want to call if I need help, because I am not a handyman. I can't fix anything. I had something go wrong with electricity. I told him, I said, change the light bulb. That's all I know how to do, and it doesn't work. So I had to come fix it. So it's funny how. Your dream was to own your own building. I was like, I want to get out of this thing.
Yeah, but if I didn't have Trevor, it'd probably be like, what did I do?
So do any of the kids have entrepreneur hopes?
You know, I do see that in them, but Caleb is saying he wants to be a teacher, and he feels called to that, and so he's working towards that. But I still think he does have an entrepreneur spirit. And then my daughter, I mean, she doesn't know what she wants to do, but she's just really talented in a lot of things. She's an artist, and she can sing too, and all kinds of things. So there's lots of ways she can go. We're praying that she figures out what she wants to do, because she's a senior now.
So it's getting close to
yeah.
So did they got their talent from you? Did you get your talent from your parents? Or?
No.
Oh.
Either one of them can sing. And it's funny because both me and my sister sing. Yeah.
And so did you take voice lessons or anything like that? Or just?
I did for a very, very short amount of time. But no, never. Not really. So even like when people say, oh, can you teach me how to sing or do better? I'm like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to tell you to do that.
You ever have anybody come in the shop that are clients and ask you to sing?
No, not right there. You know, and I don't talk about it that much anymore either. You know, I just kind of,
just part of
who I am. If they know about it, they know, and if they don't, they don't.
So that's how we go.
Yeah.
What? So to wrap up, what is one of the things? What makes you call Bowie your hometown? My hometown.
I mean, I love the small community. I mean, I do want to see it grow, but I want to see the values stay the same. So, as a business owner, I'm all for how do we make Bowie grow. You know, but I really pray that as people move in, that we can keep, you know, the values that we have, and seeing how people, whenever there's tragedy, that people run to be supportive and help and things. And it makes me really irritated when people say, oh, this about Bowie, and I'm like, well, then maybe you should leave. Because I love Bowie, and I think there's a lot of great people here, you know.
And I think your business can be an example of for what, as we grow, what we want. So your business, you started as in a staff day spa, just you, and closed, and you realized, what do I want? And now I know what I want in a spa. How do I want it to feel when people come in? And that's a challenge from 1 to now 6 or 7 or 8. That's a challenge. But you've been able to create that culture. And I think the same is true for our town.
Right.
if we can do it, if we can get it right now,
Yeah.
as we grow, we can still maintain that small.
Yeah.
And like you said, you attract people that are kind of like you. So what does that mean? That means maybe as citizens, as community members, maybe we have to get a little better.
Yeah, it all starts with you first.
Mm-hmm.
You, and then your household, and then your church, your work. You know what I mean? Like, it can't be great unless you are working on yourself and
Mm-hmm.
you are committed to being the best person that you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope that people will look inwardly, and work on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that God wants us to live whole, a full life, and I think a lot of times people walk in brokenness, and that's why we see all the things we see, is because as individuals we're walking in brokenness. So I think if we can ask God to heal us, make us whole, and then it goes out from there.
Because sometimes we expect our community to have fixes. We expect our family to be fixed when we are not.
Right.
When we have some issues
Right.
and I agree, and I've never thought about that, and nobody's mentioned that about the community. About it first starts with us, and our community. When we worry about us and we fix ourselves, our community will begin to change.
Right. Instead of you're pointing your finger at everybody else. And when I say whole, I mean, I think it's a walkout process. It's not like you're just whole one day, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're continually saying, what do I need to do? Where am I lacking? Or, help me, God, to be better,
Mm-hmm.
And
Because I think we're always, no matter how long we've walked in that walk, we're always lacking.
for sure.
Because there's times when we can't fix things that we don't know what we don't know. But then as we learn and we walk,
Yeah.
we learn those things. Oh, I didn't know that was maybe
That was
lacking.
big. Yeah, right. Because, I mean, I don't think God's going to reveal all of it to you, because I don't think you can handle it.
We don't want
We
it
would be
all.
like, I'm nothing, I mean, so I do think it's like, kind of like an onion,
Mhm.
It's just peeling back the layers, one thing at a time. And I think when people don't want to face stuff, that's why they turn to things that to hide,
Mhm.
to cover it up so they don't have to deal with it.
Mhm.
And I feel like I walked in that for a long time, and I'm thankful God's been patient with me.
Mhm.
There's still more work to do.
And I think that's always our calling, is to always, how can we be better? How can we
Yeah.
treat others better? There's always improvement that we can make. I don't think we've ever, when we get to that point, we think, I'm good. I think the owner,
Right, exactly. We've arrived. Oh, there's a problem.
whether it's us individually, our family, our relationship, our community.
Yeah. Or church, or you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So,
And we should always be open to question.
right.
What can I do differently? What can I do better?
Yeah.
Well, so what, as we wrap up, what services again does the Element Salon and Spa offer?
Yeah, we are a full service salon. Colors, cuts, men's cuts, kids' cuts, perms, extensions, hair extensions, eyelash extensions, massage, pedicure, manicure, dip nails, gel nails. Yeah, just about anything you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Some waxing. Yeah, so we really do offer a lot of things. Facials.
And then how can they find Element?
Okay.
What are some ways to connect?
Our website is theelementsalon.net, and then Facebook page is the Element Salon and Spa, and we also have Instagram, same thing, Element Salon and Spa, and we try to post pictures of our work and things like that. So.
Mm-hmm. And then they can also call for appointment?
Yes,
Do you do
call.
online
You
bookings?
know,
Or
I have not done online. I don't know why that scares me. I just think you don't know how much time maybe you need if you book online. So I have not done booking online, but you can always call 940-872-2872. And then all of our stylists have our cell phones on our card.
Mhm.
And like we accept, text message. I prefer my clients to text me because, I can get back to them when I'm not working on hair or whatever.
And too, it's in writing. You go,
It's in writing.
them.
Yeah, I always
Yes.
I see it and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to open that text because then I'll forget. But if I just leave it like I see it's one text, I'll go back and I'll be able to schedule later. So
you can connect any of those. And we'll put all those, we'll put phone number, address, and Facebook page and website and all that in our show notes. That way they can also go there to connect and get scheduled or just find out more information about the spa and the salon. So thank you, Jennifer, for joining me today.
I love what you're doing here. It's so cool.
Thank you.
I just love it.
And if you are out and about and you see Jennifer, encourage her about Project Beautiful. Because I just think it is so wonderful and amazing. And maybe we're talking today because maybe you need a boost today.
Maybe that's what it is, because I've been kind of like, I know.
Because actually, we had a meeting last week, and I had expressed to some of the business owners, hey, if you want to be on the show, come up and mention it to me, and you did. So, and so now we're talking about it. So maybe, just maybe,
I know.
we don't want to get in God's way, but maybe He puts us there. So, but thank you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for just sharing with us about your business, about your faith, about your walk, and about all the great things that you're doing and the challenges and successes you have. Because I think as business owners and community members, I think we need to understand that we're all the same.
Yeah.
We all have the same struggles, the same fears.
Exactly.
Just they look bigger or smaller to us depending on where we're coming at in life.
Yeah.
Whether it's business, life, it just is.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for sharing that with me.
Thank
you
you
for being on today. And thanks to each of you for stopping by and visiting with us today. And we're looking forward to seeing you around my hometown.